Alright, in this video I will be cleaning the pots for both the volume and tone control on these two guitars. I've tested all my guitars. These are the only two with really scratchy pots when you turn the volume or tone. And it is convenient that it's these two because one you access the pots from the back, the other one you access them from the front. So very convenient for the video. For the cleaning portion, initially I'm using electrical contact cleaner, and this is the type that leaves no residue behind, so it should dry clean and pretty fast. It also is safe on plastic, and that's very important in your cleaner. And it's got one of these little straws. You definitely want one of those little straws when you're doing this. Now, I actually edited this video because I was looking for a lubricant as well, and I couldn't find one. So I actually went back, deleted the video, and re-uploaded it because I did find this Deoxit Fader F5 about a week after I uploaded the initial video, and it has that lubricating property as well. So after I clean the pots, I do come back and use this Deoxit Fader lubricant as well. Now for these Les Paul style or rear access guitars, there should be a plastic plate directly behind the pots. Sometimes they're slightly larger, sometimes they're a little bit smaller. But just look where the pots are and take off that backing and you should see all the pots. You see you could spray directly under them. There should be a little access panel, or there should be a little cutout on the pot where you can spray it in as well. And you want to get the electrical component or connector cleaner into the body of the potentiometers, which is why you can't really come from the top. You do need to take this back plate off so you can actually spray it inside of the body of the guitar pot. And you can see I also have some paper towel down. That's just to keep any spray off the guitar, because I'm not really sure how good that is for the finish of the guitar. I'm assuming it is not great. Now that I've got some of the cleaner sprayed inside of the pots, I'll just give them all a few turns back and forth in each direction in order to distribute the electronics cleaner within the guitar pot and ensure that the full range of the potentiometers are cleaned. And I'm going to do this twice. Normally I don't do this very often, so try and do a good job the first time. Again, there's a couple spots where you can spray it and get it inside of the potentiometer. And after the second quick spray, give each of the potentiometers a quick turn. And just a point, I don't hose them down with spray. You don't need to overdo it. And like I said, this video is a little bit out of order because I found this Deoxit Fader F5 about 1 week after I did the initial cleaning, so I am coming back to do this section of it. And the Deoxit product could probably be a standalone if you didn't want to use the electrical contact cleaner. And one thing to point out about this Deoxit is it comes out quite a bit faster and quite a bit more liquid comes out with each blast as compared to the electronics cleaner, which is unfortunate because this Deoxit is actually about 5 times as expensive as the electronics component cleaner. So it is something you want to use sparingly because it is not cheap, that's for sure. But it will provide some lubricant once it evaporates, and it will leave that lubricant in the pots. So once the Deoxit's sprayed in, just like the contact cleaner, I'll give the volume and tone pots a quick turn back and forth just to ensure that the Deoxit is distributed pretty well within the pots. And that's pretty much it. And a quick test would indicate that everything is working fine. So just take the back plate and reinstall it on the guitar. And just for interest's sake, I'm just using a eyeglass repair kit for the screwdrivers. And I find that this little kit has pretty much everything I need for the guitar. And I'll try and throw links to everything I'm using in the description as well. So once those 4 screws are back on, that's pretty much it. I can put that guitar away. Now for these Fender style guitars where you need to take off the front pick guard, you do need to take off the strings. So it's probably preferable to just clean the pots every time you change your string, and then you don't have to worry about dealing with it if you get a scratchy pot, you know, halfway through the life of the string. And obviously this has way more screws to remove than the Les Paul style or rear access style guitars. But once you get the 10 or so screws out of the pickguard, it should just pull up and come out as long as the wires aren't too tight. And this thing's got about 5 miles of extra wire to play with. So I'm not sure, the previous owner must have changed this. This is a Tom DeLonge version, but my understanding is that is not what the original pot looks like. And you can also see that this guitar is severely sun faded. So I'm just spraying the cleaner into that little cutout on the top of the potentiometer, and then work the dial back and forth a few times, and then I'll spray it directly into the body of the potentiometer. And then once again turn the dial a few times. So after having done this twice, that's pretty much all I did for the electrical contact cleaner. Again, I came back with the deoxit this time to hit the volume potentiometer up with some of the deoxit lubricating cleaner, spray it in there, and then work the volume control back and forth. And I do this process twice. Once again, it's good to have the paper towel on hand to clean up any mess, so that it doesn't affect your guitar's finish. Now before screwing this all back together and putting the strings on, obviously that's a bit of a pain, I'm going to plug it in and just make sure that there's no scratchiness to the volume pot. When you're putting the pickguard on, just make sure all the wiring is into the router and that you don't have wires getting crushed between the pickguard and the body of the guitar. Then just take all your screws, put them right back in the pickguard, screw everything back down, and you should be pretty much good to go to get the strings back on. And I'll just do a quick test with one string for the same reasons I tested it before I put the pickguard on, just so I don't do everything and then have to undo it if there's still scratchiness to the volume pot, which there is not in this case. So just off camera, I tuned it back up with all the strings on, and quick test. And no issues noted with this guitar either. Obviously, scratchy guitar pots can be very annoying, especially if you're playing at louder volumes. This fix is quick, easy, and cheap, and it'll keep your guitar sounding much better when you're adjusting the tone and volume. Thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.